Hi, I'm Ed Sobey for Kids Invent. This is the fourth of the labs in weather and climate, and now we want to start students thinking about making weather predictions. We're not expecting them to become geniuses overnight and displace the National Weather Service, but we'd like to get them to think about it, and the way to get them to think about it is to challenge them to make a prediction. Some kids will take a shortcut and be done with it. That's okay. At least they'll figure out how to make the shortcut. Others may really get into it and think about what's going on in the atmosphere. So here is today's traditional weather chart. This is showing us the surface pressure and fronts moving across the country. You can see a whole bunch of highs. Each one of those, these are not really well developed, but like one big high with the air circulating around it in a clockwise fashion in the northern hemisphere, opposite in the southern hemisphere. But we've got little bitty highs scattered all about. Generally, we expect that there will be fair weather in those regions. Generally, we expect everything, all the weather systems will be moving from west to east across the United States. But we also, especially in winter, will get weather coming down from the northwest, down from Canada, across right in front of the Rockies and across right in front of the Great Lakes as well. But it's all generally west to east. So if you were right here in West Virginia and you saw that high, you'd say, wow, high pressure, probably fair skies, probably not much cloud cover. There could be, but probably not. Probably not much rain, because rain requires uplift of humid, low pressure air to create those clouds. So at least for the next day or 2 days, if you were living in West Virginia, you'd say, well, I've got pretty good weather, and since there's no fronts moving through there right now, there's no reason to change what's occurring. So whatever I have right now is probably what's going to occur tomorrow and maybe the next day. Getting out 3, 4, 5 days starts to get a little bit trickier because everything is moving across the country. Here we've got a cold wave. If you were down in Florida, you've got high pressure and therefore some nice clear skies, we hope. But when this cold wave passes, if nothing else, you're going to see a big drop in temperature. This is air coming down from Canada. We'll blame it on the Canadians. And as that moves through, in a few hours' time, you could see a nice drop in the temperature. Way out on the West Coast, we have a low. Where did that low go? Well, I thought we had here's the low up here in North Dakota. So there you might expect to have some unsettled weather, possibly some precipitation, but probably clouds. And here we've got a warm front moving up, and we've got a cold front over there. So we've had a warm front move through and some complex processes, so we probably have some regular storms right there in North Dakota, South Dakota, over here into Minnesota. Here's another low right over Lake Superior, and again we have a warm front and a cold front. You can see here's the warm, the red, the cold with the sharp spikes on it, and the blue color. That cold is going to sweep around and catch up with the low, and we'll have some continued rain there. So we look at the map and we have all these confusing symbols, but we have highs for generally good weather, lows for possibly unsettled weather. We have cold fronts, the blue with the spikes. We have warm fronts, the red with the rounded edges. And just glancing, you can get a decent idea of what's happening in every part of the country. But let's say one of your students picks Albany, New York. If we look right here in Albany, we'd say, well, it looks pretty good. There's a high there, the circulation of air. We would expect the winds to be coming from the northeast. Let's look at what the actual weather prediction for Albany is. So temperature 24 degrees, the wind from the west-northwest, and I was saying it should be from the northeast, but it's also pretty light wind. We're not getting a lot of movement there. This weather report, this is the detailed weather report that some students will go to when they're making a projection for a distant city. Also has humidity, 43%. We measured humidity a week ago. Has the dew point. When the temperature drops to 5 degrees, dew is going to form, and that's probably the lowest temperature of the day. Temperature will probably not get much below 5 degrees. Pressure is 29.94 is increasing with that high coming in. Visibility is good. UV index suggesting that there's some clouds in the area. So here it is, partially sunny, partially cloudy. No precipitation. We've got the high, winds northwest. But look at the wind shift. Something is happening in the atmosphere. We'll want to look at that day by day. So some students can go to this report. They can get a 5 or 7 day report for whatever city they want, any city in the world, and they can quickly write that down in their inventor's log. Would love them to go back to the first chart and think about it a little bit and think about any other information they can use to make their projections. But the big thing is we want them to think about it and talk to each other about it. And have some fun predicting the weather both for Fresno and someplace far away. So I hope you have some fun too as you look at the weather charts, and we'll look forward to seeing how accurate your weather is.